Warning! This podcast contains Frankenstein and Tiny. What's up, everyone, and welcome to the ASOTV podcast for Once Upon a Time Rewind, Season 2, Episodes 12 and 13, In the Name of the Brother and Tiny. I'm your host, Dom. Joining me in the flesh, Jacob, and Nikki.
In the flesh. Oh man.
Rachel's not joining us today, Ashley. She has some internet issues, and they cannot get people out to her house until tomorrow. So.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Yeah. Alright, so, out of these two episodes, which one was your guys' favorite?
Well, I wonder if you could tell which one my favorite was.
Clearly Tiny.
You know what? I like both of these episodes equally. Like, the last couple weeks, it's been like one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
But I like both of these episodes really pretty much on the same level, I think.
Yeah. For me, personally, I like Tiny a lot more. I just think that whole twist to Jack and the Beanstalk, Jacqueline, I think that just sealed the deal for me. I'm not taking anything away from the Frankenstein episode because I really, really love that one too.
Well, I mean, I love that one. Here's the thing about the twist in Tiny's episode. I don't care. Like, Jack's a female. Okay.
I liked how
be that deal.
There was Wonderland thrown in there, like that Jack had actually been there. How the fuck she got there, who fucking knows? But she'd actually been there and did things and came back.
And rabbits and
they didn't elaborate, but it's still like it makes you think like
you could do it now. It's fine. It's like making a phone call nowadays. You can do it whenever the fuck.
But then.
Yes, then you could do it now because apparently people have been able to do this the whole time.
There is a Mad Hatter running around transporting people all over the place, so never know.
I guess.
But apparently, just in that one pocket of season 1, it was like fucking impossible.
Mm-hmm.
Either that or these people were just stupid.
Well, this takes place way before season 1, so.
Yeah, exactly. These methods didn't just go away.
I don't know. I just found it interesting, like bringing the mushroom in and stuff like that. That was pretty interesting for me, anyways, because that was, to be fair, watching the Disney animated Alice in Wonderland, her friggin' around with the mushrooms is my favorite part.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to that episode. This episode, the first one we're talking about is In the Name of the Brother, which is the Dr. Whale-centric episode.
Mm-hmm.
We start the episode off with where we left off with the car crash from the town line. Mm-hmm. Find out Hook's ribs are in fact broken. That doesn't stop Rumple from smashing him around with the cane a few times.
Huh.
But he stops when the ambulance shows up, and Emma's like, "Do you really want your first impression with Forgetful Belle to be murder?" And he's like, grumbles off and storms away.
Doesn't matter, she doesn't like him anyways.
Yeah, but yet you threatened to kill like the entire Charming family, so go on, you Ruffle.
Yeah.
Well, that's not until much later.
Well, Belle wasn't in the room also, so.
Yeah. So Hook, Belle, and Greg Mandel are taken to the hospital. Rumple sneaks into the hospital, tries to kiss Belle, trying to break said curse.
Yeah.
But she freaks out, scares Rumple
And why
off.
did this not work? Why? Because it's not love.
Because it's
not in
a
love.
curse.
They were crazy.
It's not a curse.
It's a new curse.
I don't think walking over the town line and losing your memory is a curse.
Yes, it is.
I don't think it is. I think it literally is. The loss of magic is...
I think you think they broke the curse, but Rumple brought a new curse when he brought magic over.
I don't know if it is or isn't a curse, The reason why it doesn't work is because Belle is not Belle, therefore does not love Rumple, so it's not true love.
Bullshit.
So.
Bullshit.
No, she's like Lacey now.
No, she's still Belle. She just has different memories.
She doesn't have any.
Yeah, so she doesn't remember loving him, so it's not true love unless both people love each other.
No.
So. Yeah.
No.
I mean, true love has come along on much lesser... Like, I mean, look at Aurora and Philip. I mean, they barely knew each other. There was like one meeting, and then she got put into a deep sleep.
In this show.
Oh, that's true.
They might have met at like 2 years old, and they were probably set up to be married, but then like, you know, something happened where they actually met prior, and then like they've been seeing each other secretly.
I mean, like, I'm looking back at like old Snow White. I mean, she never met Prince Charming. Never. She got put into a glass coffin. He came along. He kissed her. True love. She woke up.
Yeah.
How the hell has that happened? They never met each other, but apparently true love.
Well, they met once, and you know what? That's something I always argue about Snow White, is that we see them meet for the first time when she's in her rags, and then there's an indefinite amount of time from that point to where we see her in like the classic dress that we know her in. They might have met, you know, in that time, gone on a couple of dates, you know.
I don't know. I think it went from they met that one time when she decided to steal the shit from his carriage. They had their banter back and forth, and they really didn't catch up until much, much later.
Well, you know,
they have a long history.
They do, but
and Aurora and
she
Philip
hated him.
Might have had one. Aurora and Philip, you know, they could have. There could be this whole story we don't even know about. They just don't elaborate on it. Hopefully, we can do that someday.
I just, you know, Rumple, in this case, though, I mean, he's just gonna get shit on because it's like karma. It's coming back at him.
Hmm.
I mean, because, you know, obviously Hook's the one that sent her over the line with a bullet. So.
Yeah, Hook, you've done a lot of wrong to Belle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think we mentioned this. What was it, last week? Where you know, Hook and Belle have a pretty strong relationship now. They're pretty good friends in season 6, but they like all that like I'm gonna murder you shit. I don't think I'd make friends with a person that said I was gonna murder you like 5 times over. Like,
well, but Belle is.
It almost happened.
Belle is a poor judge of character. That's the problem.
She believes that everybody has a little bit of good in them.
And yeah, exactly. Like your father, Rumple, and then there's Hook, and Hook actually does have good in him. The other two, you're like terribly, terribly wrong about.
But so when Rumple went to visit, he kissed her, and she freaked out. He ran off. He comes back later.
And she has the reaction that I have when I keep seeing these two together.
He comes back later with the chipped cup, and he keeps pushing it on her, and she won't have any. She grabs the cup, and she smashes it. So this is the, I think, second time up to this point that cup was destroyed.
It's probably been broken more times.
Yeah.
We just don't see.
Well, it gets broken later, but yeah, I think this is the second time on screen that this cup has been shattered.
Yeah, but he can just magically fix it. So really, just her breaking it has no consequences whatsoever.
It doesn't have a consequence,
but it has a lot of
meaning. Yeah, other than the meaning.
Yeah. Like, her actually smashing it means she's far gone. He can't fix her, so he has
Maybe you should have left her that way, Rumple. She's just not that into it.
Well, he should not have pushed it on her if the cup meant that much to him. Like, well, it's your token. It's your symbol or whatever. She's like looking at it like it's a fucking broken cup.
You realize how crazy you sound? You need to take in consideration that Belle has like no memories whatsoever, and that magic is not a thing.
No, I know. That's why her and Greg are
chummy.
Yeah.
In the meantime, Emma sneaks off to talk to Hook, try to find out information on Cora, but he's not giving anything up. In the meantime, Whale is trying to decide whether or not he wants to help Greg. He asks Gold to fix him up. Mr. Gold doesn't want anything to do with it. He's like, look, I was using magic when he crossed the line. He saw this. You want him to die. So.
Well, then, Rumple, if you don't want people to find out about magic, then why use magic?
I don't think Rumple cares.
Rumple, why don't you just kill him after?
I don't think Rumple cares. That's the thing. He's too concerned with Belle. He tells the rest of the group, it's probably in your guys' best interest. Rumple doesn't give a shit.
But Rumple, you should give a shit if people are going to come into this town and start hitting you with pitchforks and torches.
He just wants his son. He doesn't have any intention on staying there. So.
No.
So Snow kind of alludes to the fact that Well's drunk. Despite David asking him later, Well says he's not drunk, and then he throws his cell phone into a bag of scrubs and leaves.
I mean, if someone is as drunk as they were, as Snow was alluding to, you could smell it on him because he wasn't drinking no beer or anything. He was drinking the hard shit. I mean, that stuff smells even after one little sip. So, like, really, David, are you that dense? You just have to be in the vicinity. You just have to stand beside him.
He was less than 2 feet away from him.
Exactly. He would have been able to smell it on him. So, like, you do no. I'm sorry, David.
Maybe David is familiar with the scent.
Like, he doesn't smell it because he's a drunkard himself.
Y'all remember that one episode?
No.
Oh, okay, there was an episode, it was like in season 4, where like Maleficent was in their room, and then he got like freaked out, and he's like, things are like shit right now. So like Snow woke up and found him like drunk as fuck on the staircase.
No. Maybe I'll have to go back. I mean, I am slowly working through Once Upon a Time, obviously, right now, but once we're done, I'll probably watch season 3, 4, and keep going. I'll get there eventually, and then I will remember that episode.
So, he takes off, and they send Ruby to go track him down.
Now, this is where the arc would have been, correct?
Yes.
Where it would have started.
It would have started
This
here.
was the start of the arc, yes.
Yeah.
Supposed to have something after this, which, this is the last time I think we see Ruby. And Dr. Whale, for that matter.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the last time we see Whale.
Well, we definitely see him like a couple of times, but he hasn't been like, I think his arc is finished in this episode. Yeah. So they didn't really need to bring him back. And he comes back a couple of times, but you can definitely tell after this episode, you notice that he's not there anymore. And really, I'm satisfied with this ending because it feels like an ending to his like character arc. Ruby doesn't have one.
Yeah.
No, she's left wide open.
Well, because Whale, she goes to track Whale down. Whale goes to the docks. He tries to jump in the water. Ruby saves him. And then they're having this conversation where Whale's like, magic comes with a price, but, so does science. All people remember, is the monster. They don't remember the name Frankenstein. I wanted to make a name for myself. Then that's when Ruby admits that she's a monster. She ate her boyfriend. Some weird twisted way of trying to cheer him up.
Mm-hmm. Seemed to work.
Yeah, it did. They return back to the hospital. Whale decides for some surgery, and this is where the hook was, because you see the look that they like exchange with each other before he goes in for surgery.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the beginning of what was supposed to be their love arc.
And I like those two together.
Yeah, it seems like it's like a couple that you wouldn't expect you want together, kind of thing.
Yeah.
The only reason why you're like, okay, is because it's slightly there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's interesting the conversation they had about them both being monsters. Well, that's how they see themselves. And like Ruby, is an actual literal monster, but I mean, that pairing's interesting, Dr. Frankenstein and, the werewolf. And, like, if you think back to, like, the Universal monsters of, that old classic black and white era with Frankenstein and the Wolfman and Dracula. That I would have liked to have seen like more
intermingling,
famous monsters like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because it seems like right now that Universal Studios is kind of doing like this little Once Upon a Time shared universe thing right now.
They weren't doing it back then, though. And technically, these characters, or at least these monsters, not by name, but they are in the public domain because these are just like, mythical creatures.
Mm-hmm.
Universal popularized them. And along with, the books were there, but like they weren't really in the public eye until Universal made those movies.
Well, because just recently with the Tom Cruise Mummy movie,
which they're gonna bury.
It wasn't that bad. I just recently watched it.
But was it good?
No, but what they did with it is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde are in there, as well as the Mummy, and they make references to the Brendan Fraser Mummy movie in there, so it's technically a sequel to those ones. And on top of it, they set hooks up for Dracula and Swamp Thing and werewolves, and the next movie in this franchise for the Mummy is gonna be The Bride of Frankenstein, and they're all gonna be intertwined. They're all gonna be intertwined. It's about there's this group, I forget what the name of the group is right now off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But it's about monster hunters.
I've been calling it Legendary Truth. That's just what I'm going to call it.
It's about this group of monster hunters, and they go and they're collecting all these ancient creatures that are a threat to the world.
To make a superhero team to stop Loki from unleashing his alien army out of the sky. That sounds familiar to me.
No,
but I mean, the concept and like the ideas behind what they're trying to do is very interesting, and it keeps me interested. Whereas before, I thought it was just a stupid remake of The Mummy, and I was like, Tom Cruise, get the hell out.
It's not. It's a sequel.
It's not. No, it's not.
It is a sequel because they mentioned the Brendan Frasers.
It takes place after that fucking movie. That's amazing, and it's way better than this piece of shit.
It takes place after the Brendan Fraser movies in the timeline.
Yeah, don't make it a sequel. If after this movie, after
the very definition of a sequel.
No, it isn't. After the Bride of Frankenstein movie, if that movie doesn't do well, I think they're gonna pull the plug on this whole shared universe thing, because The Mummy did not do well, at all. Regardless of whether you liked it or not, it did not do well. So I think what they're going to do is try with Bride of Frankenstein. If that does well, they'll go into the next thing. If that thing flops, they're done with this thing. And if they're done with this whole shared universe, they're going to stop the Universal thing, monsters, for a while. And I think that's when maybe this show, if they wanted to, can pick it back up. Not use the official names, but just use the monsters themselves.
I just think people went in like with the same mindset that I had was, oh my god, this is gonna suck. I like Brendan Fraser. It's not gonna be campy. It's not gonna be funny. It's not gonna be this. I went in like completely trashing it, and after I watched it, I was like, this is pretty good. And then they're like, oh, look at the vampire stuff and the swamp stuff. I've always wanted a new Lagoon monster movie or series or something. So like
they've never remade that.
No.
It's in their plans if you look at Universal's lineup for their next series of movies.
And Scarlett Johansson was supposed to be in it. They were going to do a whole thing with it, which I'm just waiting for somebody. I'd be happy if this show did it. If they did adaptation of Creature from the Black Lagoon, because that is my favorite monster.
They are. It's in their schedule.
Yes, we don't. But just because it's in the damn schedule doesn't mean they're actually going to go forward with it. If
they might not make it that far because of ratings and stuff. But yeah, I understand that.
I hope they do. I hope it doesn't suck. If they don't, Once Upon a Time, please, just please.
Yeah,
please.
Who knows what Once is going to do in this next season, because
this next season is going to be they haven't really said anything other than, Henry and the first few episodes. There might be an Emma and there's Storybrooke. Like, they've only released that tidbit. As far as the rest of the story or anything, there's nothing.
I mean, we have Alice, we have Cinderella, and that's really about it right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So. But there's plenty of other stories out there you could do.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It doesn't have to be Disney stories. Like, come on.
Well, they're definitely going away from Disney in this season. That's already been established. But while this is going on, while Dr. Whale's in surgery, the group is really just, they're worried about the outsider, worried about future outsiders coming in, because now, with the curse broken, anybody could just wander in. We have Greg's cell phone ringing, doing the Star Wars theme song, which I remember at the time, this was maybe about 4 to 6 months after Disney purchased Star Wars.
Right.
So this was like a big deal, because we were like, oh, now I remember it's like, oh, Disney bought Star Wars, and I wonder how quick it's going to take for Disney properties to start having Star Wars stuff in them. And then here we go. So,
yeah.
That was pretty quickly. I believe that this is technically the first Disney feature, because it's not Disney's Once Upon a Time, but because ABC is owned by Disney, I think this is the first integrated Disney product that featured Star Wars since the purchase.
Yeah. I mean, in any other case, they wouldn't have been able to do it. But I mean, they've made references to like Yoda and stuff before, but to actually have a sound clip, that's a big deal.
Well, there's always been an agreement with Disney and Lucasfilms in general with what they've had in their theme parks way before they even purchased Star Wars. So like they could have made references to Star Wars, but like having the actual theme song is a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when Disney had Star Wars in the park, that was a specific licensing deal in that regard. So they didn't have the ability to just throw Star Wars in all willy-nilly whenever they wanted to. Just because they have a license for one aspect does not give them full access to use it however they want.
But now they can do whatever the fuck they want.
That is true.
And you can have you can have the Star Wars movie starring the Muppets, and that'd be okay.
Yeah, you can have Muppet, Star Wars, Pixar, Disney crossovers.
Can I just say that
I just explained the plot of Kingdom Hearts, but anyway, go ahead.
The Muppet in Kingdom Hearts, they should be.
Getting back to Greg, before he got his shit back and everything, I knew he was a shady motherfucker from the very get-go. I did not like him at all.
Do you think he found this place?
Exactly.
One does not simply drive into what people assumed was a forest.
One does not simply drive into Mordor.
No,
because as far as people knew, before Storybrooke was there, this was a forest. You don't drive your car in the forest. There's trees everywhere. You're going to crash. So as soon as this guy came in, I knew he was a shady motherfucker. As soon as that car came into town, I'm like, how the fuck did you find this place? This place should not exist. It didn't exist before, so how is there a road?
There was that father and son. They stumbled across Storybrooke. But I mean, they were camping, right? Or something? They were on a trip together.
What I remember, and we're gonna get to that, I believe, that's in this season. Is that him and his father were camping in Maine when the curse went through 21 years ago, 28 years ago, whatever it was. And he was just a little boy. And when the curse came in, him and his father got stuck in the middle of town.
They're like, where the fuck? Well, we just went to sleep and there's a town around us.
Yeah. And then I remember they go to the diner and Regina welcomes them or whatever, and then Regina kind of like tries to get him to be her son, or his son.
Yeah, it's way before Henry.
Yeah, and then they kind of like leave town. And then he spends all this time trying to find it, can't get back there. And then he starts like freaking out in his head when he starts seeing Regina and how she hasn't aged since he was a little boy and all that. So we'll be getting to that. That's what's going to be happening. So, but the surgery is a success, and Emma decides that, she's got to go talk to Greg. The whole town wants to go in with her, and she's like, we're trying to convince the guy this is a normal town. This is not how normal towns function.
I like how they were like down her throat, like, no, we have to come in. And she's like, yeah, so the sheriff doesn't walk in with her parents who are the same age as her. Just saying. And they're like, yeah. Yeah, go on, honey, go do your job. Like, she had to say something out of complete normalcy for them to finally be like, okay, yeah, you got it.
Fucking stupid.
Yeah. So she gets
After.
Greg to recount the night. Greg said he was texting and driving. Looked up. Hook was on top of him. We find out he actually, he lied to Emma, which, we were kind of suspecting at the time.
Well, he probably was stupid enough to text and drive.
Yeah.
I'm sure he didn't mean to hit Hook.
I think he did.
He totally intended to go into town. I don't think he meant to run Hook over. Well, had he known that Hook was there and that Hook was from this magical land, he would have hit him.
If I remember correctly, doesn't he have a video of Rumple using magic on his phone that we don't find out for another couple episodes?
Well, he doesn't record that until maybe the next episode.
No, he recorded it when he was driving. He's got the fireball from Rumple when he crossed the town line.
Not when he was driving. No, he records Regina. He records Regina fixing, giving Belle her memories back. Mm-hmm. He saw Rumple. He didn't record it because couldn't record it. He was driving because he was texting while driving.
I thought he was recording it. I'm almost positive he was recording it.
And he was in the car, all smushed up and stuff, and he was still recording.
Yeah, I think he was focused on the phone recording, and that's why he hit Hook, because he didn't see him. I think that's something that we learned later.
And why the if you want to drive, you do that. Hide in a bush.
There is still a veil there on the town line. If you're on the outside, you cannot see through. That's why Hook got hit.
Hmm.
So once you step through, he was probably driving, and oh my God, some guy just appeared out of nowhere. Rumple crossed the line. He appeared out of nowhere.
He was probably telling the truth.
No.
He legit didn't see it because there was nothing there to see until he actually passed it, because they were on the town line.
They were there.
I don't know. I definitely have some foggy memories of how this started. So that's the way it happened in my head, and this is a perfect example of why people's memories are not the best thing to rely on for murder cases and weird things like that. So.
We've all suffered from magic on this show. The characters have suffered from magic on this show. Nobody remembers anything. Everybody's 500 years old.
They want this kind of stuff to be foggy for us, so even after it's all resolved, they still want us to be asking questions.
And that way we don't point out the plot holes that we find into later seasons. But what? That's what this is for.
Mm-hmm. So he calls his fiance and is like, "You're not gonna believe what I saw." That's how the episode ends. But
there was a guy, this really handsome guy with a hook for a hand, and I ran him.
Yeah.
Waifu, I'm going guys now because there's a handsome dude I just hit with my car.
Hook doesn't have that ability, sexuality is flexible, but if you're straight, maybe some people just stay straight.
In the meantime, though, we have Cora meeting Rumple at the shop. She wants Rumple to leave Regina alone, and in exchange for allowing her and her daughter to bond again, she gives him some magic globe that will help him find his son. Mm-hmm. So Rumple accepts
it's a crystal ball that for some reason she put on a globe stand.
Mm. So Rumple accepts
that's just my headcanon.
He accepts the truce, and like the old times, they sealed it with a kiss.
Ew.
He was so reluctant until she actually planted on him. Then he was like, "Fine, I'll kiss back." Yeah, it was kind of disturbing. I forgot that it would happen. I definitely forgot that was a thing when I was watching this episode.
I actively forgot that it was a thing.
Yeah, I did completely forget until that happened, and then it happened, and I was like, "Oh." It's kind of like when Regina and Rumple in season 6.
Or wash your mouth out. He's dirty.
Evil Queen. Sorry, Evil Queen, not Regina.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. And then Rumple uses the magic globe, pricks his finger on the top of it, and it creates like a blood image inside the globe.
So
revealing
cool. I wish I had something like that.
You wish you could prick your finger.
No. I wish I had something like where you touched it and then it would just kind of like form the map, and you're like, oh, that's so cool.
I wish I had blood. That it would prick my finger and fill it with my blood.
There was an episode of season 4 where they did something similar. Like Regina stabbed Emma and put the blood on the map, and the blood followed the trail on the map. A lot of blood magic, a different kind of blood magic.
But the map reveals Bellfire's location. So Cora, after that, goes snooping in Regina's house, and then goes to visit Regina at her vault, disguised. I shouldn't say dressed. Disguised as Henry. Yeah, Cora is dressed as Henry. No, Cora's disguised as Henry.
I think glamour spells. In other cases, they change your appearance, not your clothes.
Yeah.
So it'd be funny if she dusted herself out back as herself, but like she has these really tight boy clothes on. She's like, hold on, I'll be right back.
But then again, she's used. You've seen Regina just go like snap her fingers, and she's in completely different apparel. So I mean, for Cora, it's probably the same thing. It's that easy.
So Cora admits that she framed Regina for Archie's death.
Because I love you.
Yeah, she did it because she loves Regina, and she apologizes for everything. And I'm sitting here going, really, Regina, you're gonna fall for this? And Regina is falling for Cora's manipulation once again.
Yeah, that's what she does.
Saying that Henry will never be hers with, everyone else around.
When it comes to Henry, you can easily manipulate Regina to do anything.
Yeah.
Regina just loves Henry so much that telling her that she's never going to see him again because Emma's around is going to make her do something bad.
Yeah. In the meantime, though, this is when Henry finds out who Whale is. They're having a conversation at the Charmings. And this is when Henry has like this epiphany that Frankenstein is not in the story. So people from other lands could be in this town.
He should be in the story, though, because he was in the Enchanted Forest at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, he realizes there might be people from other lands here. And it almost seems like that...
Somebody from Agrabah, who's, like, in the catacombs under the town.
Someone from freaking Arendelle who... Yeah.
It almost seems like this was the hook for the untold stories. That this may have been a plan of theirs, from forever ago. Because we do have, like, Nurse Ratchet lying around,
Maybe it would have been... Maybe there was, like, a plan for the monsters.
Yeah, maybe.
So, I don't know.
I feel like, they dismissed it way too fast. The Charming, like, mostly Emma, because she was just like, just eat, kid, I want to go to sleep. It's like, no, he has a legit thing he's saying. Like, you need to pay fucking attention, because it might not just be Cora you have to worry about. Frozen later on. But, come on. I understand you're tired, Emma, but there's more important shit going on than...
Well, you need to focus on, like, one, person just trying to destroy the entire town at a time.
That's true.
Meanwhile, they could just go for some ice cream from the Snow Queen.
Which they do.
She's got a shop going right now.
Yeah.
They do. They went...
She has forever.
There was an episode of season 4 where they acknowledged that she has been here this whole time and that Emma actually went into the shop one day.
Rocky Road.
Yep.
Rocky Road ice cream. Yep.
So.
Yeah, the show, it's just...
So, like, I'm just looking out for, like, episodes now where if they ever make mention of an ice cream shop.
The layers of bullshit this show has given us, like, it just keeps going. And it's not going to stop because we've got season 7 coming, so...
Yeah. And I want to see... If you're gonna continue with like this callback stuff that you're like so good at, I want to see some shit reference back to season 1 that we never got answers to. Where the fuck are Hansel and Gretel? I don't know.
Ashley,
I'd be happy if you told me in season 7, like first episode of season 7. I'd be happy if you told me that those two died.
Actually, we do preface.
Since we're leaving Storybrooke, we're not gonna find out the fate of any characters from here. We're moving on to new stories. We're leaving all these behind. So, but while they're having this conversation, this is when Gold comes in, and decides to cash his favor in for Emma. He says, "We're leaving. We're going to find my son, and if any harm comes to Belle while I'm gone, I'm gonna kill every last one of you."
Because Belle would love that.
Oh yeah, like soon as Bill came back out of her little doozy lacy thing and realized that he killed everybody because she got a paper cut or something.
He means if she dies.
Yeah, I know.
So.
But I mean.
But like, if Belle heard you say that.
Yeah.
No.
He doesn't care. If she's dead, he's gonna kill them all. He doesn't care what Belle would think.
Yeah, because Rumpel, you're very charming. So.
No, that's David. But anyway, we have the flashbacks. We meet Victor's dad. Gives
another douchebag father figure.
Gives Victor's
that old-timey
brother
European dad. You know how they are.
He gives Victor's brother Gerhard their mother's watch, and then gives Victor commission, a job because he decides he's not going to support him anymore.
Because that's a good idea.
Yeah. Basically, you have to work. He has no faith in Victor's scientific research.
See, this is why we had Scar, you guys. The father, you can't treat one son as the golden boy and one like shit, okay? And you certainly don't, you don't name a kid Scar, first of all. Actually, his name wasn't Scar. His name was Taka.
Well,
which means garbage.
Well, that's
better, yes, I remember that.
That's in a different telling of the line. That's in what, the Kimba? That's not in the
Kimba? No.
It's Kimba, the White Lion or something like that.
No, there were these prequel books to the Lion King that explained why Scar is named Scar. His name was Taka by his father, which means garbage in Swahili.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And then when he got his scar, his dad said, "Okay, so because you did something so fucking stupid that it caused you to get a scar, your name will now be."
Well, there's some new information that I was just reading that for the Lion King, and this came out because of all kinds of stuff that was released in the anniversary Blu-ray and all that came out, that Mufasa and Scar are actually blood brothers. So.
Which is fucking stupid. So like, just don't. Like, that undermines the entire plot of the story.
I agree.
So like, whatever it is they say about that, like, I mean, I've heard it, I've read up on it, like, it's bullshit. It's complete bullshit.
Why is it that all these stories, they either have an evil witch of a mother or douchebag dads?
Can't we just like, well, because then we wouldn't have drama, and you know what? We
wouldn't have broken people to tell stories about.
These German dads are dicks. Okay, that's just how it is.
Well, the letter that Victor received was in German. Translated, it says, "Dear Dr. Victor Frankenstein, by the forces of power and authority which are invested in me by the Chancellor and the Emperor's Commission, I appoint you to field medic. You are expected to carefully and consciously execute. I know.
Sorry.
Execute the duties of the medical field, and to serve an example to lower-ranked officers and soldiers. We expect you to follow said instructions, to keep order and discipline, and execute future commands. Posted in arms, written by me and sealed on the 3rd of March, by order of the Emperor invested in me, T. Herman, Captain T. Herman, 34th Mobile Division, Klagenfurt, Carinthia, Klagenfurt Land, County, in the name of the Minister, President of the Austrian Empire." So that's what that letter was translated.
Okay, so they were sending him to the war front, pretty much.
Yes, he's field medic.
Yep.
So he had to basically abandon his scientific research and do practical medicine.
Yeah.
Which, dude, if you need money, do practical work.
Yeah.
You got to find a way to make money. But, really, if you're relying on your dad's money there's a problem because eventually that money's not gonna last forever. So you needed a plan, dude. Luckily,
because when Daddy dies and the inheritance goes out, it's all going to your brother.
Yeah.
So unless your brother really, really loves you, you're gonna.
Which he does.
He does.
But how
much money? Yeah, exactly.
So.
Which he did find out.
We find out Rumpel is watching him. He drops in while they're packing up. It's what is his father's summer home, I think he said. Is that what the father said? He gave him the summer home?
One of their many homes.
One of their many? Yeah. I guess so.
Yeah.
I mean,
but in the meantime,
kind of foggy.
The one that's built on top of a cemetery.
Yeah.
In the meantime, Rumpel, he wants to invest because he wants to be able to bring people back from the dead. He empties a very small sack of gold coins.
Well, Rumpel said so himself. He doesn't want to do that. He just wants to know how he does it.
Yeah.
Why? Why do you? If you don't want to do the thing that his thing does, then why do you
want him to do it? He wants to be able to do it.
Like if you don't want to do the thing if you don't want to do the thing that science is able to do, then why do you want to do it? Why do you want to? Why do you want to be able to do it if you said so yourself that you don't want to do it?
For leverage. If he can bring people back from the dead, those deals, those massive deals he could make, like he would just. That's all he is. He's a deal maker.
But Rumpel, you can bring people back from the dead because you did it. And you're going to be dead, so you could do it later. We've seen in flashbacks that happened prior to this that you can bring people back from the dead. That's beside the point. But
when
I do, I'm agreeing with Alex here. I really enjoyed that scene where Rumpel comes in.
See somebody come back from the dead.
Need I name all these?
The black and white scene when Rumpel is in color is amazing.
Well, yeah, it is. But I don't remember a single character coming back from the dead.
Hook, the million times he has.
Up to this point?
No, up to this point. Up to this point. I'm not talking about anything after season 2.
Up to this point, I don't know. But it happens.
Yeah. So, I mean, that involves going into the underworld. It's not like bringing someone back. That's literally retrieving them. It's not like what this is. It's
or in Rumpel's case, you don't have to do that.
Rumpel's never brought anyone back from the dead.
No, I mean, in Rumpel's case of him dying and then coming back, they didn't go to the underworld to go get him. They just there was a certain spell that.
Yeah, that's attributed only for Dark Ones or something. But yeah.
But Zelena did it, so.
Yes.
Who's not a Dark One? She should be a Dark One.
Well, actually, it was Balefire that cast it, but yeah.
So let me see. Alex was wondering who the actor is for Gerhardt.
He does look familiar.
Yeah, his name is Chad Michael Collins. He's in a lot of stuff,
he's one of those.
A lot of CSI, NCIS, CSI Miami. He's in Ringer. He's in Two Broke Girls. Bones. He's got a few movies under his belt too. So
okay,
you can look him up later.
So. In the meantime, Rumpel unpacks, Victor unpacks and tells Igor that they need a body. So they go to a cemetery, start digging up a body. In the meantime, Gerhardt comes and finds him, and they get spotted by a soldier, and they run to the carriage. Soldier fires a shot, ends up hitting Gerhardt and killing him. So Victor brings his body into the lab and tries to bring him back, unintentionally frying his heart.
Yeah.
This is when the father comes in and disowns Victor, saying he's lost both sons tonight.
Okay. So what I'm getting at father is that you don't want children. Got it.
Igor is not Igor enough for me.
No, but you know,
I know they got to work with shit, but I mean, make him a little bit more
dickish.
I don't know.
Because Igor in the original film was a dick.
Yeah. Like I don't know. He looked too nice to be Igor.
Well, he wasn't. There wasn't really a character there. This actor did like the bare minimum that he had to do. And I don't know if that's, to the actor or to the directing.
Mm-hmm.
But like he just felt like if they never said his name, you wouldn't have known that was Igor.
No, you wouldn't have. That's what I mean. Yeah. He's not Igor enough.
Yeah. But this is where Victor talks about, the magic hearts with Rumpel, and they set up the meeting with Regina. So this all goes back to the very first flashback sequence we had a couple episodes ago, between Frankenstein and Rumpel and Regina and all that. And Victor says he's going to set him up with the Mad Hatter. And, so we see all that, but then we jump back to after he gets the heart. And the heart actually works. So he's alive, kind of.
Yeah.
He's
he is
monster.
Sentient.
Yep.
And he can learn, the basic things, and he has feelings. He's not, fully there. He's like a caveman. He's like he's underdeveloped.
He's afraid of fire too, just like a caveman.
Well, he's afraid of fire, as anyone should be. There's nobody who loves fire.
I love fire.
Yeah.
Liquid fire.
I will help you out with that. But I think maybe, if you, spruced him up a bit and, you taught him his ABCs, he might be a nice, well-functioning model citizen of society.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
Yep.
You'd set to wait a couple years.
But I don't think he could, because, by the time the end of the episode came around, you saw him just decaying. Like, you saw, when you first see him, when he's introduced to his dad, he's kind of, he's got his stitches, but his skin is still kind of clear. But by the end of the episode, you see veins, like, and it's just purple and black. Yeah, his body's decaying. So I don't think there was, his second chance at life is very short-lived.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Well, Victor thinks that he's going to do his father a favor and be like, look, I brought him back. You can love me again. And the father wants none of that. Starts yelling at Victor. In the meantime, Gerhardt attacks, kills the father, flees, and Victor tries to talk to him, tries to even kill him, and can't really do either. So.
No. It's sad, I mean, they were very close.
Yeah.
Beforehand, and
than the original story of Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Because there was no real connection between the Doctor and the monster.
No.
It was just some thing he made out of different parts of other people.
Yeah.
They weren't from the same person. It was like just other people that he dug up, because like, okay, like this part isn't fully decayed yet, let's take that part, okay, we'll take that one here. It's like Tetris, you put them together. But here it's the same body, same brain, same face, different heart, but he retained some of his memories, so like he was still the same person, just not fully there yet.
Yep.
A lot of cognitive and stuff, like those kinds of actions that a normal person can do, they faded away and they have to be relearned. But I mean, he's essentially a toddler.
Yeah, and Victor's not done. He's he wants to still help his brother out and whatnot. We kind of leave that up in the air. So.
Yeah.
That part of the story never gets really resolved. We do know that after this point in the timeline, though, that this is when he works on Daniel after that, after the curse is broken, and tries to reenact this, and that's when he kind of has to give up on the whole notion of it. So there's no real resolution with Gerhardt and Victor.
Well, I think Gerhardt died because he wanted his brother back. So I'm just going to assume that what assume what happened in the original story. Some villagers found out about it. They chased him out of town, or they killed him.
Yeah. And that's why Whale actually made a huge deal about the curse when everything lifted, everybody was getting their memories back. And he went to Regina, he's like, what about my brother? And she's like, I choose who comes, like, dead or alive kind of thing. And he was like, I hate you so much. Like, he had a big issue with it. That's why he was, pitchforks and torches after her.
Well, because he mentioned nobody knows nobody remembers the name, as the Doctor. They all only remember the monster and all that. So I was hoping, and I'm sure at some point if we kept David Anders on the show, that we would have gotten more of that story with Frankenstein and whatnot.
Yeah, but would have been interesting.
Yeah. But that's all for that episode. The next episode we have is Tiny, which we start the episode off with Emma and Henry getting ready for the trip. Rumpel is kind of shocked; he's not expecting Henry, but Emma's not gonna leave Henry around. Henry running around with Cora, and without her, so kind of forces Gold to buy another ticket.
You can pull money out of your ass.
Yeah, I mean, until she said, I'm not going to leave him here with Cora running around, he was totally against it. But as soon as she said that, he was like, I guess I'm buying another ticket kind of thing. Like, he had that understanding.
Yeah. And also, Emma would kill you. I don't care if you're the Dark One or not. I don't care how bulletproof you are. I will kill you.
Yeah.
Because you know very well, Emma has done this before. She would definitely stab Rumpel to death with that dagger, and she would take on the Dark One role herself.
Yep.
And not, go fully through with it, but, that's another thing.
Yeah. So, just after they leave, Regina shows up at the Charmings. She wants to see Henry. They tell her that Gold and Emma left with Henry. They're out of town. They're on a trip. Regina's like, and no one thought to tell me? They're like, we couldn't find you. And to be honest, Emma doesn't have to run everything by you.
No.
So, that was the wrong thing to say, because this is just pushing Regina further into Cora's arms.
Yep.
But, yeah. In the meantime, David and Snow decide they're going to actively start looking for Cora. They ask Hook to lead them to his ship, Jolly Roger, which I think this is the first time we find out that Jolly Roger is in fact made from enchanted wood.
But we never find out why that is or what it actually does for the ship. We just know.
Wait.
It's enchanted wood, so I'm just going to assume.
Do we? Because I know there was an episode about the unicorn sails or whatever.
That's later.
That's what makes it fly. That's what makes it fly to like different realms. But the enchanted wood thing never comes back up again.
No, I feel like it's the same episode.
Well, that's later.
I know that's much later. 3. That's much later, but I know I feel like we do get a little backstory on the enchanted wood.
Yeah, but I'm saying this was the first time we find out the Jolly Roger's made from enchanted wood.
I know.
Yeah. But what does the wood do? Exactly?
Right, because it doesn't allow it to travel between lands.
But I would think it would.
Magic beans for that.
This sounds like I would think that being made from enchanted wood would have made it be able to travel through realms, because in the Chronicles of Narnia, the first book with the wardrobe, the reason why the wardrobe can take you to Narnia is because it's made from It's made from a Narnian tree. Mm-hmm. So that's why it can take you to Narnia. So this, to me, when he says it's made from enchanted wood, it sounds something kind of like that.
I think it's kind of a throwback to the tree that Emma came through in the first place, too.
That's what I was thinking. I thought it was going to that. It's like, that's why...
But that's not the case, because otherwise they wouldn't need the Pegasus sails.
So I don't know why they mentioned this. I don't think there's any payoff for this.
Yeah, I don't know. But Hook does say it doesn't allow it to transport. You still need a beam to go between lands.
Yeah, so what does it do?
So they they're looking for any sign of Korra on the deck. They find Tiny, who is in a cage on the ship.
Yeah, he's travel size for your convenience.
Yes, he's no longer a giant. He's literally tiny. And when he's awoken for questioning, sees David, uppercuts him, flips out, and runs away.
You know what? I don't care that, he thought he was James. I think David deserved that uppercut, whether or not he's... I just feel like it knocked some sense into him. Just enough to make him bearable this episode.
Yeah. In the meantime, Hook tries to meet up with Korra. Instead, he gets Regina, because he puts down the Queen of Hearts on the docks. This is when Regina finds out that the giant that's running around, who's not a giant, hates David for no real reason.
Because he doesn't hate David.
Well, she thinks he does.
Yeah.
So she wants to use him as a distraction. So she gives him a magic mushroom to make him bigger.
Yay, mushrooms.
Temporarily. So Tiny's running around trashing the town. And David tries to talk him down. But he thinks everyone's lying to him. Because first they're saying that James is dead and David isn't James and whatever. So that's really weird. Like, if somebody's like, no, that wasn't me. That was my twin brother. And he's not around because he's dead. That's not really something that you're going to buy, Oh, by the way, guys, I'm not actually Dom. I'm Rick, and I'm the new host of the podcast. Dom died, and I don't know.
Well, I don't believe you because it's you, but...
Well, that's what I'm saying. You're not going to believe anybody that says that.
I would, in the context of this show, because, this isn't the craziest thing we've heard of, okay?
But for Tiny, he's still very, very naive, and he's just had,
Tiny's dumb. I'm going to be honest. Tiny is dumb.
Well, to be fair, he was very, very nurtured, even though that he was picked on a lot by his family, and he only knew one thing, and that was up in the clouds. So, when he goes down and he meets Jack and he meets James, he's very trusting. He wants people to like him, so he's doing what he can do to earn people, to buy friends. And so, that doesn't really help him any in learning what life is really about, and then whatever happens later is even more fuel to the fire about hating humans, so he secludes himself even more after that point.
It's not only the James thing, it's like, oh, but Emma too, and then he's like, well, let me talk to her. No, she's out of town. So it's just everything that they're throwing, he's not believing.
I wouldn't either.
Concrete.
If you got people standing there, David's got guns in his holsters, and
he doesn't know what a gun is.
No, but it's still a weapon. He's seen when they were tussling on the boat, David did roll and grab his gun, and Tiny knocked it out of his hand. So I feel like he's already assuming that gun, that weapon, that whatever David was going for is a weapon. And then you got Snow there with her bow and arrow and a fucking sword in her belt. So these people are trying to talk to you with weapons and arm's length. So and they're trying to win you over. That doesn't help at all.
Alex is saying Tiny was on that island for a long time. I agree, Alex. I agree. What? What are you shaking your head for? Yeah, that's what I thought. So he lunges at David at one point when he's a giant, creates this giant hole, and as he does so, the effects of the magic mushroom wear off, and he shrinks. And
you must feel so stupid.
Yeah, pretty much. And then the whole town actually works together and saves him, which, something that he wasn't expecting.
Well, no, he didn't take the time to see these people because of all the misconceptions he's had in the past. So, when they finally, save him and they're introducing him, to everybody and walking him through town and giving him the tour, and then they walk into Granny's and, oh, her frozen lasagna is amazing. And then they say, well,
Regina's is better.
Regina's is better because it's fresh, and red pepper flakes. But once they came out, they're like, we're all outcasts. We're all a bit of this. There's a werewolf and there's this person. He was like, oh, Like, he realized at that point that he's going to fit in.
Mm.
Even though you seclude yourself on a farm somewhere and never see you again. So.
Yeah.
I mean, the dwarves are helping him on the farm here and there, so I mean, he does get some social interaction.
Yeah. In the meantime, Ruby is visiting.
Alex, I disagree with you. It is not always great to see Grumpy.
I don't see why Grumpy running with Charming and Snow in this episode had any meaning at all. Like,
I love the one scene with Grumpy, and he's like, "Wait, your name's David, or is it your cursed name?" Or
no, it's David.
It's both.
But I thought your cursed name was David. Yeah, it's David. But
yeah. So that was a nice little bit of clarification that his name's always been David.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Didn't they call him David back when he was, before the prince thing?
He was David before he was
Didn't his
prince.
mom call him David?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't think we've had that flashback yet.
Didn't we?
I think that's a future flashback.
Maybe.
Just like there are a few episodes where that we've already seen of in the Enchanted Forest where they do call the evil queen Regina. So her name was also Regina in the Enchanted Forest as well.
Yeah.
But anyway, Belle gets a visit from Ruby in the hospital, where Ruby brings her some books, and then Belle freaks out when she keeps getting called Belle, and the fact that no one's believing her that she saw magic.
This is the same kind of syndrome that they did with Henry at the very beginning of season 1, where they're like, no, magic isn't real. And so, of course, she's not a kid, where she's not resilient and, whatever. She's an adult, and she's being told that she's fucking crazy. She's going to flip out.
Well, I think as an adult, when you see magic, you might try to think rationally that maybe it wasn't magic. But Belle, earlier you were telling Rumpel to stop talking to you about magic because you thought that was crazy, but then you're mentioning magic because you saw a girl.
Belle's she's fucked up right now.
Well, then Greg later comes to her and,
I think
and tells
there's a
Belle
different
that he saw magic as well.
Who comes in to write for her every single episode.
So, she starts believing Greg, and, that's where that goes. But in the meantime, we have Anton offering to grow beans for everyone.
Yay.
Which he's very reluctant to, because he knows that's exactly the reason why Korra brought him there.
Mm-hmm. So the dwarves decide they're going to help Anton. So that's when they hand him one of their magic pickaxes to reveal the name Tiny, officially making him a dwarf.
Who cast the protection veil around the farmland so nobody can see it?
We don't have that yet.
No?
That's not for a couple episodes.
Yeah, I know. That's why I said, who does it eventually?
I'm just going to assume it's blue.
I believe
nobody else uses magic.
I believe it is Blue's wand, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but I don't think this is how... So Tiny gets the pickaxe, and so he's
an honorary dwarf.
Well, I don't think this is how dwarfism works.
No, it doesn't turn him into a dwarf. He's an honorary dwarf.
But why did the pickaxe do that? It doesn't do that for anybody else.
I think it's because of...
Because they didn't have the magic pickaxe for anyone else. David even said...
people have had...
David even said, I never got a pickaxe. We've seen him handle a pickaxe, but he didn't get a pickaxe for himself like Tiny did.
I feel like it has to do with having... Because giants are magical beings, not beings.
No, they explained it. They explained it very clearly.
Yeah, he's not a dwarf, though.
Yeah, but
he's an honorary dwarf, but that's regardless. It doesn't matter if they're a dwarf or not. It is the fact that they handed him a pickaxe of his own. David never got that. He said he never got one.
Yes, because he earned the axe because of his past and his magical background.
I don't think it has anything to do with magic.
I think it has a lot to do with just the way things are for Tiny. and that's why the axe recognized him and gave him a name on his axe.
So would it
Whereas
give Rumple
David, has he earned to use the axe? I don't think so. I think Tiny has earned it.
I don't think Tiny has earned it. What the fuck are you talking about? He just went on a stomping spree just 20 minutes earlier.
Yeah,
I feel like
to do with any magic or earning or anything. It's the dwarves giving him a magic pickaxe. It's whoever holds the axe gets the name. David clearly said, "I never got a pickaxe," but we've seen David holding pickaxes. So in other words, he
didn't deserve it.
They never gave him a magic pickaxe. That's what it comes down to. He's just had a regular pickaxe.
I think it has to do with earning the right.
We've seen if you pick up a magic pickaxe, it changes the name according to the person who is holding it.
Correct.
So if Rumple has held one of these magic pickaxes, which he has, it would have given him a name. And Emma has done the same thing. It would have given her a name.
Correct.
They have it.
Yeah.
So every single argument we're making is bullshit because none of this is consistent with these pickaxes. So let's move on.
It's just that it's a magic pickaxe and he had it. David never had one.
It's another fucking one of those story bullshits that they don't answer and clarify.
To the episode that explained it in the episode. I'm telling you exactly what it said in the episode and you're arguing with me.
Yeah, I'm arguing with you.
I told you exactly what it said in the episode.
All Grumpy said was that he's an honorary dwarf and that's why
David said, I never received one of those pickaxes.
Yeah, so what? Other people have, and
that's
it
why,
doesn't work.
That's
so
why
let's talk
David
about something else. Let's talk about Regina.
No, we're talking about Lost.
So we're not talking about Lost.
On Lost,
we get the
Ajira... I'm muting Jake. And then we get the Ajira Airlines, which is the airlines that Gold, Henry, and Emma are on. The Ajira Airlines are the same airline that the Oceanic survivors are rescued from the island on. So that is the first time we get this. They're on flight 53, which does not seem like a lost number. But 5 plus 3 equals 8, which is a lost number. So that is that. The flight is only going to take 42 minutes. 42 is one of the lost numbers. 4, 8, 15, 16, 23, 42. Then we have Belle, who's in the hospital with Ruby. And Belle is watching TV. And they say, and now back to Expose. Expose was one of the fictional TV series that were featured on Lost. From 2 of the survivors were actually actors in the TV series. And then I know in chat it was mentioned that Ruby does give Belle Jules Verne's Mysterious Island novel, which is a direct nod to Lost, the Mysterious Island. So, yes. And, yes, Dopey was wearing his Geronimo Jackson t-shirt again. So, that is all the Lost references.
Does he really not even have any other shirts?
No, he doesn't. Every time you see Dopey, he's wearing that t-shirt. So, but, we have, Gold and all of them. They're on the airplane. They go to the airport. And Gold has to take his shawl off. Right? So, he starts feeling dizzy. And at this point, I remember watching it, and I was going, did he lose his memory? Like, is he still Rumple? Because he never put the robe on and said anything indicating that he was still himself after that. And I remember the very first time I watched it, I was convinced that he had lost his memories and he was just like going along with whatever was going on here. We know that's not the case.
No.
But I remember now watching this a second time and going through and being like, I still feel like that's the case. Like they could have went in that direction if they wanted to.
See, when I saw this scene, I was like, okay, the shawl protected him from crossing a line and taking his memories initially. I was like, oh, he's A-okay, don't worry about it. But then the scene came along where he took his shawl off and you could see the screen kind of, pulsing and you could see him kind of getting dizzy and not being able to keep himself straight, Emma having to help him. So I was kind of confused because, I mean, we've had it before where they drive over the line and they're in a car and they just have like a token in the car and they drive past and then they can get out of the car and whatever and they're fine. They're A-okay. They haven't lost their memory. So I know that doesn't come into play until later, but I kind of felt that way this episode. Like first time watching it again, I was like, I don't understand why he's having the symptom of like, I think it was just him being really anxious and nervous. Like I felt like that was just him being a nervous wreck.
Well,
because he had that fit in the bathroom.
Yeah, well, he has the dizzy spell.
Back, yeah.
Yes, we're good. We're talking about Rumple and his
Sorry, like Dom was talking too much and fucking like bored me to shit.
So, Lost. We had the 42-minute flight. We had no, but he gets like this dizzy spell, and then he goes to the bathroom and he throws a temper tantrum and starts punching the toilet paper dispenser.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's rational.
And he cuts his hand, his knuckles all up, and he tries to use magic to heal himself, but it's not working. And I don't know if this is an effect because he's crossed the town line where magic doesn't exist outside of the town, or if it's because he took the shawl off. I don't know, and I don't think that's actually ever explained.
It's not.
The way that magic works in our world, as they explained later on in the series, is that they need a lot of people like believing in it in order for anything to amount, like for anything to muster or conjure anything.
That's just how this world works.
So like for Rumple, who is the Dark One, who has this big ball of magic inside him, he needs more than just himself to conjure magic. And we don't learn about this till, what is it, season 4?
2.
5? Yeah, so like...
It's season... It's the last season. Last season we just had.
No, it's when...
Season 6, when the dragon came back and he explained, there's magic in this world. But you need...
The season just before the
because it was Henry.
The season we found out about Jekyll and Hyde.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, because I remember it was Henry in a center in New York or something, and he got everybody to just start
the Untold Stories.
Yeah.
And back when Violet was relevant, and we saw her like 3 times.
Yeah.
Yep. So Rumple just has like this. It's this like big puzzled look of concern on his face, and I still like, I feel like they may have had a plan in place where Rumple lost his memory, where he didn't know what was going on and he was just kind of like going through the motions, because I still like, I don't know, I watched this episode again and I'm like, he lost his memories, and I'm like, but I know he didn't, but I still feel like he did.
Maybe they were planning something later down the line.
Yeah.
Where something else happened, maybe not like in this world, but like back in Storybook where he did lose his memories and he did go back to being like, scaly-faced Rumpelstiltskin. They just didn't go through.
Or he went through so much that he went back to Rumpelstiltskin before the Dark One.
Did that too? That would have been interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where he just became like, snively and just like scared of everything, kind of,
Yeah.
Well, let's be honest. Rumple is scared of everything. He still is.
It's true. He really is deep down, and it does affect his choices. That's for sure.
Yeah. But then we get the flashbacks. We get a lot of Tiny's background. We get to meet some of his family and the way they're treat him.
They're all brothers, right? They're not. It's not like father and
the
it's
older
all
one
brothers.
Was the father.
He called him brother though, in the episode.
Maybe that's like a monastery thing.
Maybe, yeah, maybe.
They're all like monks, and they're not actually related.
Yeah, maybe.
Or maybe in the sense that they're of the same species, so they're brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could have sworn the older one, the one that died last and gave him the beanstalk, was his father.
I feel like he was the elder of the group for sure.
Like how it is in a monastery, or like how it is in, like, a convent. We are the brothers, and our superior is, father.
Mm-hmm.
Father superior,
Yeah.
Trying to see if I could find information on him.
It's like how Blue is mother. She's not really the mother of all the fairies, but she's the mother figure.
Because she's the oldest and knows the most, so she's become the mother of all the fairies, kind of thing, like the one that everybody looks up to.
His name was Arlo. Let's see, relatives.
They're all brothers.
Yeah, they are all actual brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Anton, Abraham, Arlo, Argyle, Andre,
and there's unnamed ones, yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's just like Ariel and her sisters with all A names.
Yep.
Cool. Argyle is a type of cloth.
Maybe that's what he wore.
Maybe that was his specialty. Huh.
Yeah. But they're talking about how they're getting ready for the bean harvest. Tiny wants to know why they're still even making the beans in the first place if they don't trade them to humans anymore.
Super valid question.
It was, and they gave him a super unvalid answer.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like, no bullshit. We're just growing them because we're bored and we have nothing to do. All we do is sleep and eat all day, so we have to do something.
Yeah. It's what we do. It's what our, it's like, no.
It's not what you do. It's what you feel like you have to do because you have no life.
It's what they're meant to do. Some bullshit answer.
Well, the reason why... But no, it's not what you're meant to do. What you're meant to do is grow them and trade them, but you missed one part of that, so you can't do the other part and say it's what you're meant to do.
Yeah, well, they stopped trading them because humans use them to conquer lands, and they feel like it's their responsibility to protect the beans, which, that may be true, but, yeah, I don't know. But regardless, Anton is fascinated with humans, and the family is constantly making fun of him for it.
This is like The Little Mermaid. Oh my god.
Look at this stuff, isn't it neat? Don't you think my collection's complete?
Oh my god,
Look at this harp.
Can we stop now, please? This is.
Can we think about this? Oh my god, I just had an epiphany just now.
Treasures untold.
He went through a transformation and everything.
The giants are in the clouds, whereas the mermaids are deep in the ocean. It's kind of like...
How many wonders can one castle hold?
Man. I'm not okay with this connection.
I'm fine
Ariel wasn't even this Ariel.
No.
I am completely fine with it.
And just like Ariel, he's fucking stupid. Oh my god.
Naive.
Fucking stupid, yeah.
So the family makes fun of him,
Ariel
and
was
he
stupid.
basically throws a temper tantrum and runs away. And meanwhile, we find out that King George has gotten word that there's a giant terrorizing the land, so he sends James to go and stop him. James, in the meantime, is sleeping around with a girl named Jacqueline.
Oh, we don't know if they're sleeping together, that they were.
I mean, they almost did.
Right in front of his father.
I think James was willing to just go right on through with it, too. He didn't even care if his dad was in the room.
Actually, I do think so, because he has daddy issues.
Jacqueline didn't seem to mind either, just for the record.
Well, because it's Jacqueline. But I think James has, major, deep down, he has major daddy issues, and he hates his father. You know he does. So he's like, he's like, Dad, go away. You're not a real dad.
So they go and meet Anton, and they're trying to talk to him and tell him to come into the tavern, and he's too big, and they offer him this mushroom that can change his size. And Jacqueline mentions that she slayed a Jabberwocky that was terrorizing a village, and the town didn't have gold to pay her, so they paid her in these magic mushrooms that can change her size, which they give to Anton. So this is a definite reference, I think, to Wonderland. with the magic mushrooms and the Jabberwocky, which we do meet the Jabberwocky in Wonderland, but I don't know if it's the same Jabberwocky. We don't know if this is the one that Jacqueline stopped.
I think they're going to go in the same direction as they're going to go with season 7. There are many different Jabberwockies.
Yeah, because if I remember
there are many
correctly,
different Cinderellas and stuff.
If I remember correctly, though, that the Jabberwocky from Wonderland mentioned that she had been trapped there for hundreds of years. I think it was like 500 years, or at least 100 years, or something like that. And I think we brought this up on our Wonderland podcast, if I remember correctly, and mentioned that it couldn't possibly be Jacqueline for that reason.
Yep.
So, I don't know. For all we know, there could be multiple Jabberwockies in Wonderland. So,
yep.
But Anton finds out that James' kingdom is in debt. He offers to give them untold riches to help so he could stay and their village didn't get burned down, because he doesn't want to live in an all burned down village.
No, he wants the land to be pretty instead of burnt. So okay, so help out, I don't think you don't know James that well. I think the money is going to get blown and the land is still going to get burnt up. But
I booze with it.
Yeah, it's a nice gesture, Anton.
Well, Anton, this is why
looking out.
You don't give strangers money.
Mm-hmm.
You don't even give your lover money.
No. So he goes home and goes to get the gold. They ended up tracking him to the beanstalk, and the what was his name? I forgot his name now.
One of the A names.
Arlo. Arlo gets all mad and is like, "You led them to the beanstalk," and I'm sitting here going, "The beanstalk that's like 1,000 feet in the air that you can see from miles away. You're concerned with that we'd led humans to the beanstalk?"
I feel like the beanstalk is one of those, if you know where it is, you can see it, but otherwise you don't. Like, it's one of those magically veiled things.
And this is how we prove that the world is round, because if it was flat, you could see everything in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, I feel like the beanstalk is definitely one of those magical, properties where unless you know where it is, you know about it. That's true.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things like that.
So this is where James reveals that they did in fact come from the beans. And then we don't see it, but we learn from the other giants when they're running around and telling Anton to burn the bean crops, that there's actually an army.
Do.
Yeah. It was funny because I was watching this episode and everybody was home and Mia's watching and Mike's watching, and I sit there, I'm like, there's 2 little humans with 2 little pointy toothpicks. You are giants, just swing your leg and hit them and make them fly, and you'd probably kill them instantly.
You get a newspaper and you roll it up. And...
Exactly. And then, I hear from Mike, go, "Oh yeah, that's what the hell?" Like, James and Jacqueline are running in like, "Oh, we're invincible," and Mia's like, "This is stupid." But then, like within like the next 5 minutes, you find out that they're swarmed with human army, and it's like, oh, that makes sense. And everybody else was like, yeah, okay. But it was at that point where it's just Jacqueline and James, and it's like, you guys are stupid. They could literally just probably blow on you, and you would go flying and die.
Yeah.
Well, giant. I think if you just step forward, you create an earthquake, and then they all fall off.
The thing is, they did mention that the swords are laced with poison.
That's true. Yeah.
And
find that out.
Yeah, one little prick is enough to kill them. So, say the giant was to just step on one of them, the sword can go through their foot and
yeah, but I think
them.
Their shoe leather is big enough to wear and thick enough to where the sword doesn't go through all the way. So.
I don't think so.
Who knows?
Because I wear shoes and I've stepped on thumbtacks before.
Was the thumbtack poisoned, and is your shoe a size 3,000? No.
Well, the thumbtack would be the size of a sword for a person that size, and I would be equivalent to a giant, and the thumbtack still goes through my shoe. So
this is when proportions, come into play.
I feel like the only way that we could see the giants aren't that giant. Whereas, when you see earlier in the episode, it really bothered me. I didn't notice it the second time watching it. When Jacqueline hands Anton the little piece of mushroom. In her hand, it fits between her thumb and her index, right? Or her pointer, sorry. And she hands it to him, and he catches it, and it's there. But when he goes to put it in his mouth, it fits between his fingers. So, proportion is a big deal. So,
maybe
but like
the mushroom changes size, just like it changes size.
Maybe, but when you saw you saw his hand, the CGI was there. You saw his hand. You saw Jacqueline drop it in. Jacqueline was actually a pretty decent size in comparison to him. So the sword was probably about half the length of his hand. So that's a decent amount. If it were sharp enough, it would go through their shoe.
Maybe the mushroom does some weird side effects where people just change sizes randomly. Because, they're very inconsistent on these giants and how big they actually are.
Anton's the only giant that had the mushroom.
Yeah.
The rest of them did not.
Maybe it gives off a pheromone to where it's actually around you.
Now we're stretching.
Yeah. No, I feel
there
like
was a caterpillar on the mushroom and it started blowing smoke in everybody's faces before he had eaten it.
I do feel like you're right. The proportion does matter, and they were very inconsistent throughout the whole episode.
Yeah,
that's just how giants are in general.
Regardless, if you think of us as the size of one of the giants, an equivalent size of one of the swords would be about the size of a thumbtack. And thumbtacks go through my shoes. Believe me, I know this. I know this for a fact. My feet can tell you. So, yes, they could have stepped on them. They could have swatted them. They could have turned on a fan and blew them all away. I don't know.
Why didn't they do that? Because there's fans.
The giants could have just closed all the doors, and then as soon as they come near, just started jumping up and down and form an earthquake, and have rocks and everything fall on them. There's a million things that could have happened. Regardless, the giants got overwhelmed. It's the same way you think about, how I actually had this happen in my house. We had a bee's nest in my attic. It's not this house that I'm in, but another house. Bees infested the attic. They started building a nest in there, and the ceiling started to bubble in this one point. The ceiling was poked by my mother, and the ceiling came down, and bees filled the room. Right? Now, we're these huge beings. We can just swat these bees away, whatever, and we shouldn't have a problem. But, they're little stingers that are the size of little people swords. They do some damage. So,
newsflash, bees can fly.
Well, yes. But I mean, my point is, when there's a lot of them, my point is, when there's a lot of them, you can get swarmed and overtaken. If it's just one or two bees, you can take those no problem.
They weren't even just using swords though. You saw, you didn't see the ballistas or the catapults or anything, but you saw the fire going through windows and stuff. They were there more with just swords and shields.
This was very Narnia-esque. Because, in Narnia, we have all these giants and these trolls, and you have humans there, too. Well, not a lot of humans, but humanoid creatures in Narnia who do this kind of advanced warfare for their time anyways against these creatures that are much bigger than them. So this is interesting to see, actually.
Yeah.
But we did find out that Anton did destroy all the beans. He burned them down and salted the fields.
Yep, so now nothing can grow there.
Yeah, great job.
Yeah.
Well, he was told to do it, so...
But don't do it.
So Arlo gives him a cut of the stalk to grow more beans. However, it has to be in a new land because of the salted fields. So this is the inspiration here. We find out that this is how we've had magic beans in Storybook. I know that was something that was mentioned of all the magic beans are destroyed. How do we get more beans? Well, we have an answer. So
for some reason, I feel like they only got like one little tiny harvest out of the beans, and then they just forgotten about it, like mentioning it, because I don't feel like they have an infinite amount. They still have an finite. Like there's only a few.
They do eventually grow like a vineyard kind of thing, but later on, when they've grown enough, I think it was Regina,
It was
one
Regina.
of the, yeah, she burns it down.
Okay.
So they were on their way to having like, pretty much beans for like every single person in the town.
When they technically only need one.
They only need one, but I guess like the portal. You know what? They're really inconsistent on this too, with how big the portals are that these beings create.
Because how long they stay open.
At one point, it's big enough for Bay to get through, and then at one point, it's big enough for an entire ship to get through. So I don't know.
I mean, we know how the beans ultimately work when they're opening the portal. You think of the place you want to go, and then you jump in, and then it takes you. So I feel like if you're on a vessel like Hook, and he wants to go to Storybrooke, and because his boat is enchanted and he's on it, the portal is bigger. Whereas for Bay, it was just one kid, one guy, so he wouldn't.
Two people.
Well, yeah, Rumple. It was meant for Rumple too, but.
Yep. So, yeah, that is the end of that. So next week, we will be covering episodes 14 and 15, which is episode 14 is called Manhattan. And this is where we track down Bay. Mm-hmm. And then episode 15 is The Queen is Dead. And this is when Cora and Regina make a plan to take Rumpelstiltskin's dagger.
Is this also the episode where we get the seer?
Where we find out that when he was in the Ogre Wars, he met the seer, or when he actually took her power?
When he met the seer,
no,
which
is
also
believe so. I don't believe it is.
Okay.
So.
Because that's one of my favorite episodes.
Yeah. No, I don't believe.
Yeah, I like it when he takes a fucking sledgehammer to his goddamn leg. That's amazing.
That was really satisfying.
Yeah, no, this is a Snow White centric episode 15.
Okay.
So it's not a Rumple centric one.
I'm talking about the other one.
Oh.
Not The Queen is Dead, because that's clearly a Snow White episode.
Yes, I believe it
looks to be, yeah.
Okay, good.
It looks to be. Awesome.
And I'm still one of those believers that the prophecy the seer made still hasn't come true.
I don't remember exactly what it is, so.
She said, a young boy will lead you to your son. And I don't think she meant Bay. She meant Gideon.
And that boy would be your undoing or something like that.
Yeah. And I think she means Baby Mo is the boy, who is also the son.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, way before season 6, so we don't know if they had it planned, but it seems like they've had a decent amount of things.
Don't forget, Rumple does die.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, but that wasn't his. That wasn't the boy giving his own undoing. That was him doing himself in. That's why I think the prophecy hasn't come true at that point yet.
Well, it said the boy will be your undoing, not the boy would directly cause it.
Yes, that is true. But I think at that point we think it's Henry, and then in season 3 we think it's Peter. But I don't think neither Henry nor Peter really led to that, and I don't think it mentioned death.
They're so open to interpretation, and they're so open-ended that it doesn't ever mean what you think it means.
I mean, we'll be able to discuss this more thoroughly next week when we hear the actual prophecy. how it's worded and everything again. But yeah, so that's gonna do it for this week. Jake, where can the people find you?
You can find me and all of my giggles and gore and monsters and mayhem here on YouTube at Jacob Salazar, or you can find me on Twitter, tweeting me throughout the life at ToNowhereland. That is TONOWHERELAND. Join the Nowhereland Society.
Excellent. Nikki, where can the people find you?
On Twitter at LadyVenom24, LADYVENOM24.
Excellent. You can find me down below at Phenomenon, PHENOMEDOM. And you can find us all and more on Facebook, Gmail, G+, Twitter, MySpace, and right here on YouTube at /ASOTV podcast for some more podcasts for some of your favorite TV shows, games, and movies. Until next time, see you guys later.